So episode one, I guess, of I don't know, me going on basically about films and things, I guess. And I was thinking about the actors that I grew up with, basically, uh, and enjoyed, um, namely Gene Hackman and Clint Eastwood and um, Charles Bronson. Probably those three, really. And watched many movies with my father and on TV, of course. Didn't really have any films on VHS or apart from recorded off the TV, of course. This is going back in the 80s. Uh, and they were great actors. I mean, Hackman's a great actor, terrific actor. Uh, I wouldn't say Clint Eastwood's a great actor. He's a great star. I mean, he's a great, um, he's a great star. He's very good to watch, but he's not a great actor. I wouldn't think anyone would say he's a great actor. You could argue he's a great director. And Charles Bronson, although people wouldn't think he was a great actor, and he's not really, um, if you look at some of his earlier performances before he really became an action star per se, he was very good in sometimes the small parts in big movies, and he could be quite a good actor. But he was a great star to watch, one of my favorites in westerns mostly, and obviously in kind of crime films as well, but mostly westerns like Chato's Land and all these other ones he made. He made loads of movies in the 70s, White Buffalo, things like that. But basically, comparing them to the actors of today, I think they're very bland, the actors of today. They don't really have a lot of diversity, of techniques and looks in their faces. I know you can't per se kind of change your looks in that regard. Um, but they seem to have a lot of differently featured actors back in the day. Whereas now, generally, the men, especially I think the men, tend to be very kind of modelly. You've got the Hemsworth brothers, you've got all the Chris's in general. I think there's about four of them: Chris Pine, Chris Hemsworth. I'll probably forget the other two now. But there is a lot of them that are very, very similar in their looks and undistinguishable. Not to say that there isn't good actors around today. I think you've got a few really good young actors. You've got Andrew Garfield, Ryan Gosling, and Jake Gyllenhaal, to name three, are very good young actors. I would say they're very good to watch, and they bring a lot to the screen. But even like Clint Eastwood and Charles Bronson, who weren't the best of actors, they had you got enormous enjoyment from watching them, the personas on the screen. They were the main stars. Whereas nowadays, I don't think people generally go to the cinema to watch a particular star anymore. Um, Perhaps maybe the odd person like Tom Cruise in Top Gun Maverick, which I think is very overrated. The original is far better. Um, you don't really A lot of audiences don't really follow actors around like they used to. Uh, I don't think in the 70s, the 80s maybe. They go to watch kind of big pictures, like all these franchise pictures, especially the superhero ones and trilogies and franchises. You know what I mean? Denzel Washington, perhaps people kind of would go to see a Denzel Washington film, maybe Tom Cruise. I don't think people follow, like I don't think go from film to film to film, follow an actor around like they probably did back in the 70s and the 80s anymore. I don't think so, which is a shame, really. I just don't think I don't think they're all that interesting. A lot of the actors around now. I think that's a problem. It's not. I don't think it's like. I think if you had a really, I mean, I know that people will go and watch The Rock, but that's a different thing, isn't it? Really, The Rock is a personality. Really, you could argue he is like the only action star around anymore. You could argue that. I was watching a John Claude Van Damme film the other day, um, and there's no action stars anymore like there was in the 80s and early 90s, I would say, before they phased out. And The Rock is probably the only action star left. Maybe Vin Diesel, you could argue, to a lesser extent. Um, but yeah, I just don't think the personalities are even there. Never mind, let alone the acting skills or the acting strength of the actors. And they're very, very similar to their looks, I would say. Nobody really has interesting faces anymore or interesting personas anymore. I mean, with Charles Bronson, you knew what you were getting, old Leatherface, as some people call him. But he had a real screen power presence. Uh, he's just a very iconic kind of image on screen, same as Clint Eastwood. And Gene Hackman was just a terrific actor, but he was a great action star as well. In one sense, could be really powerful on screen. But he's just so good to watch. Hackman, you could watch Hackman in anything really, and um, but that's just my thoughts, random musings, as they would say, movie musings. So that's episode 1 over, I guess. I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts on this or what. But, I could be way off base. Maybe there are some really good actors out there that people kind of follow around from film to film. I don't think there is.